All right, good evening. It's time for the last Compo studio. Over the last Compo block that we just sat through, which had quite a bit of content, and we're going to go over a lot of things. With me are a number of people who I can't technically fully see, but we have, well, to be honest, this is the most difficult Compo studio that I've ever done because of reasons. But before we get to silly things, I want to go over the important portions. So I'd like to start with the importance of, well, the most important Compo that we had, which is the beginner Compo. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it's very important that we have new folks brought in. And I've sometimes been critical of some of the concepts of making a beginner Compo because I don't want folks to feel that they're not good enough to, it's like, okay, here's the baby Compo, you can go there. And this wasn't like that at all. This was instead, this is a Compo for first timers. It wasn't a baby Compo. This was, if you haven't made a demo before, you can compete against other people that also haven't made a demo before. And we were talking a little bit before about, well, you came back to the scene after 20 years away, and go ahead and tell the story. You tell a better story about it than I do.
Sure. So, hey guys, I'm Misty of Bite Rappers. Everyone calls me Misty. I was somewhat active in demo scene in the 90s. Then life got away. I faded away from scene. But not only because of that, but also a bit of toxicity of the elitism and people being either elites or lamers.
That's a very, very omnidirectional microphone. If you don't put it right in your face, I can't hear you.
All right, okay. So when I made my comeback in the Zoo 22, I was so happy to notice that the scene is very different when I left. So it's very welcoming. People are helping newcomers. There's no longer this. There's still competition, but it's healthy competition. Whereas in 20 years ago, it was more of like, well, it was not fun. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there was this. I was remote for, most of the time that you were active. My first demo party was 2003, but I'd been active since, 1987 or so. And I'm realizing that I'm saying dates that, some people in the audience can't even comprehend. But there was a lot of elitism and a lot of one-up and a lot of you're not good enough and trying to push people down, the punching down. And now
punching down, that's a good term, right?
There's more lifting up. And there was some resistance to the lifting up. There were people saying that, oh no, you shouldn't tell people that they're good. We don't tell people that they're better than what they are, but we tell people that, if you made something interesting, you made something interesting. It isn't, and there was a lot of interesting stuff in there. Fizzer, when you got involved, like you've been involved, what now? I'm not going to even try to guess because I'm thinking either 10 or 15 years now at this point. It was a little different at that point when you got involved also. Do you have a mic? I can't tell if you have a mic, Fizzer. Yes, you have a mic. Yes, do you have a mic? Fizzer.
Yes, I do. Sorry, I could...
Your mic is not working.
I think my mic is working.
Okay,
yes.
good. So,
Ed, if you want me to say something, I can say something here.
I didn't quite hear
what was it like when you got involved?
Oh, right. I mean, if I could go right back to like the very first moments when I got involved, I mean, actually, I knew what the demo scene was for a long time before I actually decided to get involved with it. And when I did, I just sort of did something on my own. I think I was pretty lucky actually. I had a pretty good experience, and I think that's maybe part because I hadn't done something for so long, but I was seeing like what was happening in the scene and just like sort of like lurking.
Yep.
And paying attention and seeing what's popular in the demo scene, what's good, what makes a good demo, and sort of then I tried to make something. And my first demo was not released at a demo party. I just uploaded it online, and I got some positive comments from it. This was in 2012.
Yeah, right. So I was right. It's between 10 and 15 years that you've been involved. Yeah.
So it's not like the super old school times where I think it would be a lot more difficult. It's definitely a lot easier now. But yeah, that encouraged me, and that was like around the time of Revision 2012, and people were saying like, "Oh, you should have submitted it to Revision," and yeah, that was really encouraging and really positive, and I did more after that, and then. The next year, I actually did attend Revision, and by that point, a group had invited me to join them, and they were friendly and getting me involved with what they were making. So I think my experience was a pretty positive one. I feel pretty lucky. Yep.
Yeah. We kind of like to, because Seven, you've been involved for a while longer. Can you hear me? Seven, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I started in 1998.
Yeah.
Before that, I actually wanted to program games. I think that's a very common start point in the demo scene. There was this book, PC Underground, Secret Techniques of the Demo Scene. I know some people in the demo scene hated that book apparently, but it had a DVD with, a CD back then with demos, and I thought they were amazing. Once I got at university, there was a group that of demo sceners, and I went with them to demo parties, and I really liked it. At first, it felt very. I didn't have any online contacts, so you see these productions of people and you think like, these are extremely famous, and you have a reluctance to like compete at the big competitions. It took me maybe 10 years before I submitted something at assembly. But when you talk to people, they are very approachable. You can, I had a bug somewhere with Crinkler, and you find Blueberry, who wrote the tool, and you say, I have a problem. And you say, I can help you. And overall, the people, I can't speak for the early demo scene, but from the time I started, people were surprisingly approachable and generous with their time, and generally nice people, which is a big part of why I'm still in the demo scene.
Just one thing for all of us here. As you heard, there was a little bit of feedback just a little bit ago. If you don't put the microphone close enough to your mouth, they can't raise these any higher. And as you just heard, the folks at the place next door, they're getting loud. So they're going to drown you out if you can't put the microphone right up close to your face. Don't worry about it. You're not going to blow anybody out on the anywhere. They've got the things, but they can't raise the monitors any louder, or we're going to get feedback. But yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. All right. So, you've now heard a little bit about how some of us got started and how it's a little bit different now, and I'm really happy that we are seeing stuff coming in from newcomers. We even had some newcomers in the demo compo.
Brock. Can I add here?
because, well, quite frankly, they, even though they were newcomers, they wanted to release under their group name. They'd never actually done the things that they actually done in their production before, and that qualifies also as new. But maybe we should actually start talking about some of the productions themselves. I did not actually write down the names of the entries. I'm hoping that perhaps the guys in the back can get some of the stuff on the screen.
Truck, while
Yo.
the guys are putting the stuff on the screen, I would like to say that everyone is a newcomer
Oh, yes.
when they enter anything, like demo scene, making demos. And you will learn along the road when you are getting to do stuff. And the main thing is that you keep on doing
Yes.
and you don't give up.
Yes.
That's the main thing above all. That's the most important thing, that you don't give up.
I'd say that's possibly the second most important thing. The most important thing, though, is don't worry about it being perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just release some stuff, because otherwise you're going to end up like Truck, and you're going to have, this really, really long period.
So you get
between-
nothing released.
Yeah, and where people are going to think that you haven't released anything before, and they'll make websites about it. But okay, I haven't
But
heard.
actually, I think you have contributed to the demo.
Well, yeah, I've done several demos over the
About
past
demo
many years.
spirits,
Yeah. So I haven't heard from anyone in the back if they can put the demos in back of us. So I'm just going to hope that they can. Okay, we don't actually have the slides from the other end, so we're going to go, you're just going to have to look at us. We're sorry. The demos are better looking than I am, definitely. Well, the first one I'm very happy about because it had a Greetings to Accession, which several of the other productions did not have, and that made me happy. The second one was the Python that was written in Python. I thought it was cute. I also liked it because it was ASCII.
It got a great reaction from the crowd.
I think it's a nice demonstration that if you're a beginner and you cannot compete on like realistic 3D or special effects, a good idea is something good to start, is enough. Like the moment where you see the start of the demo and then like this error message and you see the reaction from the client, like, oh, and then it runs actually, that's like a great anticipation of the reaction, and yeah, something simple can really work.
Like when you did that one 4K back at, or was it an 8K? Yes, the 8K, where you had the loader bar that just kept going and then broke, and then there was a whole joke behind it.
There was also an intro after that.
Yes. A concept can make a demo, even if it doesn't have a lot of concept.
It's actually important in non-beginner demos. Do not forget that you should have an idea. When you are making a demo, you should think what message you want to tell.
Yeah, I think I think that the most difficult thing is to tell a story. And we've been accused many times just throwing effect after effect. So even if, let's say, you're a beginner, if you're a good storyteller, that takes you a long way, right?
On the other hand, if you're not a good storyteller, you can still make a good demo.
Sure.
On the other hand, effects,
Yeah.
cool effects, when you're able to do and bring those that no one has ever seen before real time, that's what demos are about also.
Yes. And sometimes it's just, okay, I've done this, I'm doing this effect, but I'm doing it, it's faster, or I can do more. Used to be that people did, how many objects could I get on the screen? Nowadays, that's not so impressive because we have such high-end machines and they can put millions of things.
Personally, for me, I look up to the Amiga OCS
Yeah.
machine at the moment. The machine that I used to have and we basically threw away. I kept my C64, but not the 500. So those guys are making miracles with that hardware today, and I salute all of them doing that. So.
It's quite interesting how the OCS has come back in recent years, actually. And it used to be, or from my perspective, I'm not really an Amiga scener, but it looked like OCS was sort of like brushed aside, and it was all about, like early 2000s, I guess, some sort of era. And, it was all about AGA and 1200, and that's like, it's complete opposite now. It's just like, come back and they have these amazing new demos from TBL, and there's Electronic Nights demos coming out and keep impressing everyone over and over again.
I could go back to what Seven was saying, that and what you were talking about, that even if there's unlimited resources these days to do demo, it's still important to have an idea to make a solid demo.
I'm laughing because we had I don't believe we had a single Amiga production, yet we're here in the final thing talking about Amiga. Amiga is kind of very central to the scene, but we did have several other things in the old school thing. We've already had a session on that, but I do want to touch on that really quickly. One of the other things that you can do as a newcomer is just do something on a platform that hasn't been done before. Which, if somebody comes out with a new game system or whatever and you manage to hack it and you make a demo on it, that's awesome. Of course, some of the game companies don't think that's awesome, but I do. All right, probably should talk about, let's see here. Oh yes, then the third one was the chicken demo, which contained chicken. There was lots of chicken in the demo.
I thought this one was cool, and it reminded me, funnily enough, of this old fad in the scene to use this 3D model of a duck.
Yes.
Known as duck.3ds. And it's not a duck, it's a chicken, but it was funny that the same thing has come around again and been sort of discovered independently. But it was a cool demo.
Then we had the thing from Arctic Robots, who actually, they had something both in the beginner demo and in the actual demo compo, so props for doing both, which had, where I was sitting, I was at the time on the right side, the extreme right side, and I noticed there was an extreme panning of the drums. They were completely on the right side, so I could barely hear them on the one bit. Another thing, if you're a newcomer, don't be afraid to ask people about mixing for the stage or going to, there are various, we now have 25 years of reference material on how to make something either sound good on stage or look good on stage. Mercury's slide, which unfortunately we didn't see here this year, but there's a slide which is available at mercury.sexy. That's the URL, mercury.sexy. Don't ask. It was available. They took it. And it has a slide that will help you calibrate your demo so that you can see it. Because sometimes when you're looking at your monitor at home or in your office or wherever you're doing your work at school, the calibration is too high or too low. And then when you see it on the big screen, it doesn't look at all like what you expected it to. So that calibration screen is extremely helpful for that. There was also a thing that a number of years ago, maybe even, when did we first come here from Hartwell Arena? How many years have we been here at Messikeskus now? 6 years?
Oh, 96, I think.
Well, yeah, originally, but then we moved to
Right.
2014. Thank you. In 2014, the audio techs made a recording from the center of the hall that actually took the 3D thing and you could use that when you're doing your audio calibration so you know how it's going to sound in the hall. These are just tips. You can ignore it, you can break the rules, you can try whatever you want. The important thing is trying. Let's see here.
Also to shout out Mercury.sexy, they have also this sign distance field library, which is very useful if you're doing ray marching, especially if you're starting out with ray marching and you're using SDFs.
Some of the coders that you'll see, like Evil, for example, when he's doing his coding sessions for when he's preparing for his shader showdowns, if you ask him a question, he'll just break it down and explain it to you the whole way through. He will also say broski a lot, but that's Evil. He's just, and again, like you were saying, there's a lot more help in the scene now.
And also resources on the internet, which didn't exist back in the day.
I could tell you stories, but I'm already talking too much. The amount of stuff that was available in the States back in the day on assembly or getting good graphics out of a machine were basically non-existent when I was in school and right afterwards. Whereas you guys were sharing stuff left and right because people in 2 towns over were doing stuff better than you and you were competing. It was a little different.
So Truck, are we still talking about the beginner demo?
No, I'm still talking about the beginner demos.
Because I could go on to the next entry, which is the 4th.
Yeah.
Old school is the new school. It's interesting because there is the other demo that world after Amiga. It's like a nice thing that these beginners are making references to the old school stuff.
That was number 7. Yes, yeah. I liked that one. And apparently he was 11 years old, which...
Really?
Well, that's what he said.
That's brilliant.
I don't know that for sure. And, well, first of all, his English is better than my Finnish, which is embarrassing for me. But yeah. And then the 6th one was the Dance of the Midnight Ghosties, which I liked. The rendering of the plane was actually reminded me of some of the early Tekkens, where you could actually see the edge of the square that had been rendered, and then you had the background thing. So I've seen professionals also have that. Some people would call that an error. It's an effect. And then, the last one was Alien Deliverance, which I wrote down, Weekend has colors. Does somebody else want to talk about what we call the Dutch color scheme, or should I explain it?
I actually never understood what it specifically refers to, other than, Coda colors is one that I know, and I think Dutch color scheme is the same thing. I don't understand the origin of the term, that's for sure.
There was a period of time when the Dutch sceners were just using all the available colors, period.
Okay.
And there were no demos
just
that...
orange and blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It might be related
True color
to...
brings no talent. Right?
Okay.
It might be related to the group Aardbei, who made 64K intros, and they had a tool, Aardbei Texture Generator, ATG, and it's very easy to use like different formulas for the red, blue, green channel, and then you get this kind of textures, and this color scheme.
Actually, about colors, and about the whole set of all beginner 1K, 4K demos, please use tone mapping as a post-processing.
Yes.
There were a couple of demos, not even couple, quite many demos where everything goes to fully white.
Yeah.
it's easily possible these days to add tone mapping where your colors go smoothly to towards the white, but not ever to the white fully.
Is there a easy place where someone who's starting out can go and learn more about that?
Yes, on Shader Toy.
On Shader Toy.
Cinematic.
All right, both of those.
Tone mapping, for example.
If you just want the
color grading.
The color grading, yeah. I mean, but if you just want the colors to smoothly clip, you want like soft clipping. That's one line.
Can I tell a couple of words about what is the problem about?
And I would go even further. Just learn the basics of like blending and stuff like that. How everything works and how the colors are produced in blending and so on. That's very important as well.
So basically, when you have anything rendered with any render engine existing, if you are going above number 1, then you have to clamp the value to something. But if you just put it so that if it's above 1, you just put it to 1. Instead of that, when it goes above 1, you will smoothly grade it so that it will go towards the 1 but never reach it. And that's where it starts to look smoother on the screen and not so like everything is burning like to your face.
That's the first thing to do, at least, and then the next thing is to look into like filmic like response curves, and to if you like want to go for more of a cinematic look, to actually apply the actual color grading, and the tone mapping and gamma. Well, yeah.
Gamma space. Maybe you can tell more about that. No.
I am reminded of the portion of the album from DJ Shadow introducing, where there's a clip where somebody is asking about why do you not have the volume already at 10? Well, let's say that something comes along and you want it to be louder. Oh, so it's the same thing. If you have something and you already have your brightness all the way up, you can't go brighter. So
there's no 11.
Go.
Right.
So for those of you who are musicians, you can explain it that way. Just play that track. Introducing is a great album. We will continue to come back with more stuff for the beginner stuff.
Do you think we should talk more with Fisher about the gamma correction?
We will in just a minute. We do also still have to go through both the 1Ks and the 4Ks.
Because for beginners also, gamma correct rendering, it's one of the keys to get things right. That's about the cinematic rendering, you know.
Yes.
Tone mapping, gamma correct rendering, these are all the keys to make beautiful stuff.
It's collectively known as colorimetry.
Do you think, perhaps, that some of the 1Ks and some of the 4Ks were a little lower in the scale of quality than all of the first demos? I mean, admittedly, there were some of them that they just said, okay, I ran out of time. And so yeah, you run out of time, there's that.
I mean, some of them did say compo filler on them.
Yeah, well, I also noticed that some of the things that were compo filler, I would not have called compo filler. But, yeah.
But there were also a couple of ones that were visually really pleasing.
Yes.
Like beautiful.
Yes.
And I think, I wouldn't say that they lacked anything.
No, I'm just trying to draw this back, that the conversation that we're already having for the beginners, we can also apply to the people who did the 4Ks and the 1Ks. And I'd also like to say that if you are just starting out, a 1K or a 4K is a really good place to start because it is self-limiting. You can only put so much in a 1K, and then you're out of space, so you can release it. And if you're wondering how on earth you can get things started, there's a wonderful thing called Tiny Code Christmas. And we've had that, I think, 3 years. And if you just look, no matter what operating system you're on, we've got starting kits, or whatever machine it is. We have a lot of stuff that's on fantasy consoles, but also some DOS stuff. We've got Game Boy startup, we've got Game Boy Advance startup, we've got, did I say DOS startup already? If not, we've got DOS startup, we've got Windows startup, we've even got Mac startup. I don't think we have Mac PVC startup, but maybe we could get the guys that did that stuff that was in the old school thing to do that. Anyway, the point is, loads of stuff on how to get started making tiny things. And if you can make a couple tiny things, well, you eventually get to 7's level, where you can put a whole bunch of stuff in 1K.
Right, and so this is exactly what I was talking about, that the entry level for doing 1K or 4K products used to be huge. There was a huge barrier for that. Now there's a lot of tools, how to get stuff done, instructions how to build a tiny executable, so on. So it's no longer like a black magic that some certain teams know and don't share. It's a public knowledge.
And multiple languages as well. We've got folks in Japan doing it, we've got folks in Russia doing it, we've got folks in South America doing it. Right. I'd love to have every single continent, technically including Antarctica, but there's generally a scener that's one of the people in Antarctica, but they have loads of stuff to do. But I'd love to see every single region represented and doing demos. I would really like to see that.
Yeah, and on the subject of 4Ks, in the early days, this was the quality. I mean, it was pretty hard to get a good quality 4K, right? And it was kind of like a dark art, or it was like magic. But thankfully, we had some people who put in the effort to build tools to make creating 4Ks and 1Ks viable.
Yes.
And to release them and just let people use them. Like you have Crinkler, Blueberry created Crinkler, and there's Forklang from a Gopher.
Yep.
And I think other contributors as well, and IQ creating his framework, and you can just get these tools and start using them, and just make a 4K and
on the other side you have the Klang and things like that, which pretty awesome for that size. So.
Yeah. It sort of bootstraps you, and you can focus on creating the content.
Yes.
You still the challenge is still there.
Yeah.
But everyone can use the same tools, so the playing field is leveled. So there's still, a valid challenge there to get something out of a 4K executable. And the people I mentioned are perfectly fine if you don't credit them or you don't greet them. There's not everyone does that, because it's just accepted that the tools can be used.
We'll get to greets in just a second. And before we go to 7, because 7 has something to say.
Yeah, there's also the In4K website that gives information about 1K and 4K frameworks, library, tools. There's the size coding Discord. I think Super Rogue also started a new wiki about size coding with a collection of everything you might need to get started. There's Shader Toy, which often for winning 4Ks shows the actual shader code that you can learn from. So this is definitely not black magic anymore. You can get your toe in the water very easily.
In 4K was is it the source code collection?
In 4K was the site from PSNF. And I'm not sure if it's only. It also a lot of links to audio frameworks, all kind of things.
I do want to mention, since we brought up Shader Toy a number of times, actually there is a new one that is similar, and gosh darn it, I've now forgotten, but somebody send me a message of what the new thing is from our French friend that's in London. My brain has just decided, yes. No, well, not Kato, but the Ray Marching fellow, Evil. Yes, Evil has Posh Broly. Posh Broly. This is a new site. It's slightly different. And again, Evil is very much, you do something in Posh Broly, he's wild about it. So, and he'll help you out also. And that might be a little easier because IQ is in California, so he's great for folks that are in South America or in North America, but not necessarily for folks in Europe. And for those of you in Japan, you of course have Observer, and you've got the folks that are down there in Australia. The entire Russian scene covers the area between the two. There's loads of people all around the world. There's somebody in your time zone. I also want to point out, stop using Discord. Just stop. I can't get there. Anytime that you only use Discord, you're cutting people like me off. Stop using it. Okay.
So, I would like to say something about 1Ks and 4Ks.
Yes,
if
we can, because it's not about Discord.
Demo, did we finish with that? Okay, because I've been doing some intros, not only demos, but they are different things to do. And you really, especially in 1K, you have to think carefully what you are doing. Because you might think that it's a lot of space, but hey, come on, it's only 1,000 characters. You write basically 20 lines of code into the shader, and you start to be full with the size. That's demanding thing. The things that we saw today, they are all amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not only about making something into the shader. It's like you can put particles if you can to 1K. You can put some other 3D primitives. And it's the creativity can become your power when you're doing this 1Ks.
We saw the third one, CubeSync. It was a variation of the classic wormhole effect. And I really liked that because it was a variation. It wasn't exactly the same thing. They took an idea and they changed it up a little bit.
And the expectations have risen. We remember assembly in the 90s, for example, when there were 4K intros and they didn't have music.
Yo!
Now we expect people to do full-blown music into the 1K. Come on.
1K? We've seen it in 128-byte intros.
Yeah.
It's nuts what we are seeing music in these days. And not just in DOS, but on other things. We had, I think we had a 64-byte or 128-byte that was an Amiga boot block that had music. And you know, an Amiga boot block has a header at the very beginning, and then I think somebody did something on a Sinclair QL which doesn't even have. You technically shouldn't be able to get anything out of a Sinclair QL at all, and they got both sound and music out of it. It was just nuts. All right, let's talk about a couple more of the things. The first thing that was shown was said in the 1K said it was a compo filler, and yeah, it was, but it still wasn't bad. It was good for and a compo filler. For those of you who don't know what it is, sometimes there's good content, but because of time limits and so forth, not enough people have entered things. So somebody will make something at the last minute so that we get enough entries in so that you can have the compo. And the thing about making compo filler is you want to make a good thing so that it's enjoyable on the screen, but you don't want to overpower the other folks. So there's a art to making compo filler. It's an interesting art. Then there was let's see if I can pronounce this. And it's not that it's finished; it's English. Kaleidoscopic, which was, I wrote down it was loud, it had colors, and it had swoops. And that's what that's enough. Loud colors and swoops. Epileptic party pixels. This was, if I'm not mistaken, because I wrote down bong, 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 yellow, bong, red, blue, bong, bong, stars, bong, yellow, bong.
Are you talking about the third 1K?
No, the fourth.
Fourth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that one. I think that was the one that was variations on Julia fractals.
Hey, I want to go back to the third one because it's
Yes.
first 1K for Francesco Spoto, and it's also entrance
Joo.
to make 1Ks.
Joo.
It's really nice because we see people who have done a lot of intros in this compo. Seven.
Are we talking about the third one?
I'm
Yeah, the
talking
third
in
one.
general, like we see a lot of people who have done before 1Ks, but then we see these newcomers who are doing something.
Yeah, I agree. The third one didn't have music, but it had the best quality visuals of the compo on the technical level. So yeah, it's nice to see something like this. The fourth one, I think it was a Lyapunov fractal or something like this.
Yeah.
Like yeah, not sure about the name, but yeah, it was interesting. Also a bit Dutch color scheme colors, but it was enjoyable.
It looked like it had, it looked like particles.
Yeah, it
Like-
did have a section of it that where it was where the Julia fractals were did get more. There was a yellow portion that had more sparkles or particles.
I think it's not particles; it's epileptic party pixels.
Well, yes,
But it looks like particles.
It might have been actual pixels that he threw in there. Heck if I know. We'll have to look for the source code later if they release it. Do we want to talk about CubeSync some more? Because I mean, I already touched on it, so that's why I skipped over it. Because I liked it a lot. Because it was the variation on the original thing, but I want to touch on every one of these. Yeah, the few polar plots was a bunch of polar plots. I liked the heart that came out of them.
Yeah.
I think it suffered a little bit from they possibly should have not recorded it quite so long because
I think
it looped.
half of the length would have been better.
Yes.
actually. Sometimes it doesn't matter how long it is. It's
No.
about how you pace it.
I thought it started pretty promisingly, actually, because I thought it was cool that they had this, these bars with these polar functions, and clearly there was some like aliasing, like a modulo sort of effect happening, which was creating these different patterns, which I thought was a pretty cool use of a small amount of code.
But it had great music and also good synchronization. That helps a lot.
Maybe that's why it was so long, because couldn't cut the music down.
If you want to get up here,
I know. I will just pass all the others. And
yes, you would, which is perfectly okay. I'm inviting Sauli of Jumalauta up here, which people will later say, Truck, why on earth would you have done that? And, well, there's reasons. Yes. Now, the stage manager is going to also be very upset with me for this because he's going to be out of the thing. But, yes. Now, 7, the rule is Sauli only gets the microphone when I point at him. So, Sauli's been paying attention. All right, so then after that we had Dragon Magic's return. And I'm very happy to see Dragon Magic return. I think it's been maybe 15 years since the last Dragon Magic thing. Normally Dragon Magic does 4Ks, but the coder of Dragon Magic, and I don't remember what his name is, and nobody say what his name is, because none of us remember it. They told me earlier that they had started this with the intent of doing more stuff, but they just ran out of time. So, and they were happy with the reception of it.
This one was great, I think.
Yes.
I can add to that it's good because it's a story demo done in 1K.
Yes.
And it perfectly describes the moment when you have to finish your demo before the deadline. And you have the urgency. You know.
That is absolutely true. Yes.
I noticed in it, I guess it's like maybe hand-coded 2D SDFs or something like that, and it's compressed. Is there some? I mean, I'm getting technical about it now, but there's like some like like misalignments in the sides of the shape there. So, from a technical perspective, I'm actually kind of interested in how they did that. Like what exactly technique they used. Like, is it compressed or is it? Actually, was it GLSL or was it?
It was JavaScript. It was JavaScript.
It was JavaScript. Yeah. Okay. So it was Canvas, right? I guess.
One of the things about every Dragon Magic intro is they always have a story, and they always are. Even though they seem simple, there's always a bit of tech behind it. So yeah, take a look at the code, and you'll probably find out why it's shaped that way. It might be subtractive geometry. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. And then finally, we had building from bedrock, which I somehow or other managed to misspell. So 7, was that based on anything you've ever seen in the last 10 years or anything?
My kids have this fairly unknown game that they like to play. I have no idea. I'm still, Doom and Pac-Man.
Fortnite.
Probably.
Yes.
But yeah, that was the inspiration. My son is here for the first time at assembly, and I thought, let's do something that he can recognize.
Right. I also think it's great that when folks are bringing their kids and
that's actually a really nice thing to do.
Yes. I also doing a reference that everybody in the audience can actually understand, not just Amiga, is important as well.
No, PC is important.
Sauli would like to make a comment. You can pass him the microphone.
Yeah, in that Minecraft-inspired demo intro, there was one thing which I especially liked, like the ray-merging algorithm had this bug sometimes that it would render block partially green, and I was all during the whole intro I was expecting something to burst in the green, but it never happened. So, congrats for amazing bug.
I liked how it's progressed. Actually, it started out with, as I remember, I think it was like a flat plane, and then it sort of created a terrain, and then the texture was added, and then that was actually pretty cool.
I think I can only speak for myself, but for my best fun case is where I find some way to turn a bug into a feature. So the noise function is used for everything: the shape of the terrain, the division of like stone versus ground, the textures, the little edges of the grass on the top of the blocks, the clouds. It's all the same function, and I wanted it to move it. But then everything looked wrong. You have like solid ground and stone and ground mixing and waving. It looked completely wrong. And then I thought, lava. If you make this lava at this point, it doesn't matter if the textures are moving. The lava is supposed to move. You really have to spend some time looking for how can I turn this bug into a feature, and then things fall in place.
One of the things that
it's actually quite often in the demo making this happens, that you are trying to do something, but then you accidentally do something else. And that looks a lot better than what you intended to do. And that's what you see in the demo in the end. And then somebody asks, so how did you do this? You said, I just did it.
Fred of Caladox.
Because you have no idea how you did it.
Fred of Caladox was the one that told me that, most of the best demo effects start out as bugs, or the best demo effects just simply are bugs that look good.
That also applies to the music as well. So some of the greatest notes I've ever played were accidents. So it sort of applies there as well. That thing is how you capture those and treasure those.
All right, 4Ks. I'll name the names. You tell me if you remember anything. Everybody did take detailed notes, right? Because there is a quiz later. The first one was called Exla, and I have written down that Mandelbrot and Colors. And I just pronounced Mandelbrot incorrectly, and I just did it twice. I apologize to everyone French. I cannot pronounce French correctly. I apologize.
So, while we were watching this one, I had this idea in my mind, or this observation of this intro, that it shows a Mandelbrot fractal, which we've seen before, but the music that was set to it, I found kind of unusual, or it's not something that I've seen set to a Mandelbrot fractal before. And it made me think that, maybe we can see more of that we can take things that we've seen before and just set different music to them and, try to present them in a new way. Maybe even tell a story with them or something, even though we've seen this fractal or shape or whatever hundreds of times before. That's what this intro made me think of that.
The second was called Dalai Set Moiman.
Actually, I have to say as a Finnish person that this Moiman.
Yes,
it's
I can't
like
tell if it's an
Moiman
L or an I on my phone because my eyes are old.
At least as I understand it, it's like Moiman. It's like hey, like hi man.
Yo, more than likely.
It might be something else, maybe.
I think it is actually an I. Anyway, I have written down voice fun and ray marching. And I don't remember what the voice fun was, but it is also, hooking into the voice API on your operating system to generate stuff is, that does take some code also. So that takes away from like the space that you have for your music or for your effects.
Yeah, that's you can make 1Ks and 4Ks in either like native Windows or JavaScript web browser, and web browser has like so many little tricks that the other side cannot do, like display emojis, use text to speech, a lot of things that it's nice that there are like these two different ecosystems that can compete in very different ways, that there's more variation.
The third one was called Public Knowledge of Guerrilla Relief, and I was confused because I didn't see anything dealing with a gorilla. I saw a pirate flag, and I'm guessing that the gorilla
really nice
is behind the flag.
Cloud simulation in the
or
something that looks like cloud simulation.
The music reminded me of Secret of Monkey Island, like little fragments with the pirate flag. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but
maybe it's a Monkey Island reference. The title.
I thought it was. I thought that the cloth simulation was fantastic and the music was very good. I just didn't understand where the gorilla came in. Sally would like to tell me where the gorilla comes in.
Actually, I don't know where the gorilla comes in. But I think this was one of the productions at Compos which definitely was missing a Farian.
I thought we had a Farian.
If you have flag, you are it definitely was a flag, which was supposed to be on the ship.
Yes.
So I think this one was definitely missing a Farian.
I would agree with that. Now, there was one that had a Farian in it.
Maybe if we could see the other side of the flag.
No, maybe that was in the demo compo.
Farian on it.
All right.
But is it a shipping boat or a fishing boat? The Faria.
You may give Sally the microphone.
Farian is a cruise ship, but it's usable as any kind of any kind of transport device used on sea, but alternatively it can also be used in demos for any kind of transport, but especially sea transport.
So basically, it's a vehicle of entertainment, like these demos that we are talking about are.
Sorry, can you repeat?
It's a vehicle of entertainment, like the demos.
Yes.
All right, so the fifth one was Balls Bright, which was bright balls and ray marching, and then I also wrote yes.
I spoke to the guys who made this one,
Yep.
who happened to be sitting right next to us, and they told me that it's the first 4K.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I thought it was really good.
I wrote down yes, which means that I was very impressed with it. Of course, well, DFox says that I like every demo, but I did, yeah. Anyone else have anything more to say about that one in particular? Then we're going to just leave it with that's an awesome 4K, and we'll move on to the next one, which was Zero Gravities, which I have written down as Twister Ray Marching Drum Hits, which there was quite a bit of drum stuff in that, and it started with twisters, but it also was ray marching, so I found that interesting, because the twister, I remember at one point thinking, why don't we have more twisters in demos? And that kind of stopped about 15 years ago.
I wonder if that title is Ian Banks reference. It's a science fiction writer who writes about like the culture, where you have these giant intelligent spaceship with a very special name, and like the title is very close to one of those, and also like the visuals seems like spacey, and
Yep.
I like the lighting and the shapes. It's a lot repeating of the same basic things, but you don't get bored watching it.
Yeah, the lighting in that one was good. Yes. It. Now let's see. What is this? This is a. Okay, this is just. That is not a warning.
Are we talking about the Balls Bright?
No, Balls Bright is the next one.
We are still at the gate.
Oh,
I like the pyramid.
sorry. I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Zero Gravitas.
I think we are all talking about the different 4Ks, but maybe it's okay.
I mean, they were all good.
You know, we were talking about Balls Bright, and then we did switch to Zero Gravities, and then after that was a Sparkle of Geometry, which is the one that had circles, lines, and eventually a cube, and I really liked the way that transitioned.
It was too short. I was hoping for more.
I actually think it was exactly the right length. I don't know where you would go more with that idea. You'd have to get much more complex, and I think just keeping it that simple allowed it to tell the story.
I am curious that on the slide that it says that they used NASM for something.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that was assembly.
So they coded the intro
Yeah.
in assembly.
Yeah, they yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think that's right. I did try to get to the details of the demos here, but I can't at the moment, and that possibly is because I haven't entered a vote key. So, because I've been writing things down and doing other bits here. But yes, no, I really do think that was exactly the right length, in my opinion. Then next was Badass Branches, which I have written down here, Clouds, and Fractally Fractalson. And that was a lot of fractals, but they weren't traditional fractals. They were more cloud-based fractals.
Yeah, and it had a lot of depth of field effect on it, which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the fractal, or well, the SDF itself before, but I think it's also underused.
And SDF in this particular case means sorted depth field?
It's signed distance field.
Signed distance field.
It actually looks like what's sometimes called a KIFS, which is a kaleidoscopic iterated function system.
I like kaleidoscope, so I would have. That's the one that sticks in my head.
There were a lot of camera changes in that one. I wonder if it was like completely randomized, but it did look like somewhat designed.
It looked directed.
It was intriguing.
I am going to switch the monitor to my other ear.
There is some direction, some proper direction in this one, but it's a artistic opinion.
No, that's not going to work.
Like I think in the end it's like a solid thing that keeps what it's showing all the time. That's the main point.
I'm going to apologize now. We've got some competition now from the rave next door, which is, which is probably because we were supposed to shut up a while back, but we're not going to. We're going to continue to talk about demos until we're sick of talking about
How about the
demos.
next 4K?
No, I'm just explaining that there's a bit. I'm having, again, a little bit of a problem hearing everyone because I can hear the rave now better than I can hear some of you. And I'm just explaining to folks at home that if we seem a little discombobulated, it's because we've got some competition from some outside noises. So don't worry about it. We're just going to, and they can't make us any louder or we're going to get feedback, and just don't worry about it. We'll figure out what we're talking about. So, yes, the next one. Yeah, there we go. We'll get that closer to me. Oh, okay. Oh, look, I can take this out of my head, and they'll write me stuff on the screen. I have to read. Let's see if Truck can do that. So now, let's see here. This is Oikeilutio 32 or 321, I would guess.
Olkiluoto 321.
And I
really
have,
nice particles, everything, like a different look.
Yeah, this one said on the slide that it uses mesh shaders, which I thought was pretty interesting.
The thing there.
I don't think I've been aware of a 4K that's used mesh shaders ever before. I assume that they were used for this sort of smoky particle effect that was happening, which looked like it was happening in screen space, which looked pretty cool. Other than that, I think that this was possibly a ray marcher.
I think it was. I'm almost 100% sure it was ray marched.
It's also an FreeBSD intro. I think Vimea has been single-handedly keeping the FreeBSD scene alive.
Wait, you're... I don't know how I missed that it was actually a FreeBSD executable.
He's been making FreeBSD intros for a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
He also writes his own shader minifier. He does a lot of interesting stuff.
Russian scener, yes? He's a Russian scener? Because the last
I don't know his nationality.
The last FreeBSD thing that I saw was here like about 15 years ago was from a Russian scener who had come over. More FreeBSD intros also. I like the BSDs also. Boy, would I like... Well, it couldn't possibly be... With a name like that, it couldn't possibly be Russian. So now I'm confused. Yeah, it had to be from Finland. Y'all. All right, and the last one was Forniplasty, which was the line tunnel, spheres, words, vooms, compo fillers, yes, wubs, proper, yes, and proper fuckings. That was very important. And supposedly this one was supposed to be compo filler, but I didn't see how this could be qualified as compo filler.
A political demo, maybe Sauli has something to say here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by the end since usually assembly is known for having complicated stands with political messages, and this was directly denouncing fascists, and one fascist.
It wasn't denouncing, it said fucking is the fascists.
One specific fascist we have in Finnish parliament, so it was surprising from assembly point of view.
We've had a few things. We've had a few things this assembly that have been. Well, let's put it this way. I don't think any of the the right wingers from certain countries that begin with the letter U are going to be very happy about any of the demos in this thing. They're going to think that all of us are special little snowflakes, and they can just think that. Shall we now move on to the demo compo? As you can see here, we have been given roughly 15 minutes to talk about the demo compo. And, some of you are here that specialize more in the 1K and 4Ks, and the rest of us have been involved with larger productions, which there's a difference. When you're making a size-coded thing, you have to keep an eye on the size. When you're making a demo, you don't necessarily have to. You can go, I think the largest one that I heard of was, there was one that was so large that they couldn't actually upload it into the system, so they had to go to the compo desk and upload it there. And I wisely did not write down any of the titles for any of this. And I think people know why I didn't. So I'm going to try and find a list real quickly of all of the entries. But let's just start out with, is there any demo that anybody really felt stood out? Sally wants to say something. How surprising!
Yeah, I especially like the Jumalauta's point of no return. Like, I have never seen such amazing production values on Jumalauta production, and I happen to know that they actually worked on that one for more than 1 month, which is like a month more than you usually work on Jumalauta production.
Was there, and I saw this is a new Jumalauta engine, is that correct?
Yeah, this one has only been used like once before.
Right, and what is the name of this?
Well, it's called Penis, and...
No, that's the old one.
And well, it's like, technically it's like penis, like the 3 eyes.
Right.
Make it like number 3. We have actually not yet decided of pronunciation. Like, is it pen 3S or what? I mean that doesn't make any sense unless you think in Roman numerals.
I could have sworn that what I saw was a kind of a parody of the notch. Thing.
The loading screen has reference to knots, yes.
Yes, okay.
And
why not?
What?
Why not?
Well, I mean, everyone is making demos with knots and Unreal Engine and Unity and whatever these days, and it's subtle fuckings to all the people using commercial engines.
I agree.
And we have agreement from some of the people in the audience who are using those engines. So, yes.
I'm just a bystander.
Oh yes, he's just a bystander. Yes, technically.
I have nothing against people using them, and I think it's actually great that there are more ways to make demos than before, and. like I said, it's subtle fuckings. It's not like brutal, aggressive fuckings.
Yeah. All right, let's see if I can, and then please hand the microphone back to Seven. Thank you. Let's see here. I'm trying to get the names of the productions up here. Short film, track music.
In the meantime, I have to single out the new Kiko Bread Challenge, which was absolutely the favorite demo of my son. It's like some of the other demos can be a bit long-winded, and for a kid who doesn't understand some of it, then it's boring. And then you have this completely crazy bread-based demo that really works on like a humoristic and timing of the humor level. So I know it's not remotely a winner, but it's nice to have things like this in the competition, even just as a break between the more serious ones.
Let's see.
I agree, my son likes that as well.
Get on stage. If you're going to shout stuff, get on stage.
There are no seats left.
That's not a problem. You can stand here behind us. We're going to have someone
Take a
come
seat
on
with
stage.
you can sit in front of us.
It's not. It does not make any sense for the people at home to.
Jarkko here.
Oh, yes, there we are. Yes, because the people at home have no idea, cannot hear you at all when you're shouting at us, and then we're
Rob,
responding to you.
Are we talking about demos now?
Yes, we are now
So
talking about demos.
Let me ask all of you, what is the meaning of life?
42.
Demo.
Past of that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we're.
He probably isn't, but we are past of 42. Are you? Joni, you are past of 42, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what is
so-
the meaning of life? It's
42.
To make demos.
demos.
To be,
Demos can contain
Life
42.
is a demo, and demo is life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, 42.
Okay.
do
That's what I
exciting
said.
things, right?
Yes, do exciting things, 42.
Ask for a truck to be in our demo. That's very exciting.
42.
Exactly.
Demo Zoo people, could you please upload put the entries on there? I'm struggling to find them. All right, so let's see. I know there was at least one Faryen reference in the demo compo. What else did we have in the demo compo? We had
Sleep? Question mark.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Why waste time sleeping when you can make demos? That's a good argument.
Well, actually,
Or a
they did
question.
cover that.
Good question.
In the demo itself, they mentioned that if you are sleep deprived, then you can actually start seeing things differently.
Okay, let me correct myself.
Yes.
Sometimes when you do demos, it's better to sleep a bit because
Yes.
then you can make better demos.
That is
I think
correct.
that's one of the reasons it took Adapt so many years to become successful with demos.
And this is coming from the guy who didn't
There
sleep
was
for
some
one
coder
night this
like
week.
me who looks like me, who is named like me, who just made demos and didn't sleep. But, you know,
You used to go and do a demo during the party. That was your rule, and you wouldn't sleep. And yes, you are right. After you gave yourself more time, then your demos became more effective. I still admire that you did do the stuff during the parties. I still like those demos, but you were able to progress further when you stopped doing that.
but when you're doing demos and then in the rush of the deadline, people, like you are already late,
Oh,
basically, when the time is running out, and then people start to ask you, why didn't you start earlier? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that question because there is never ever enough time.
The answer is procrastination. Always procrastination. That's the only answer.
No,
Just
no.
keep it and don't do it. Don't release the demos or what?
You
What
can't
does it mean?
start early enough.
You can't start early enough, but you also can't control the disasters that happen to yourself or your family or your work in between. So life, unfortunately, does take time away from us creating. And, well, that's why it's such a joy to see the productions, because people were able to produce something. They were able to take time away from their schedules and do something. And that is joyful for all of us.
And the problem with us creatives being the worst critics of ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
When we start, I started writing music for Super Selection in December last year.
Yeah.
I wrote about 1 hour of music and we ended up using 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of starting that early if you don't use it?
The practice, getting ideas that you throw away. Or in the case of people like me, ideas you hoard. Sauli, I'm going to throw this to you. I know that's a bad idea, but why would you want to either keep or throw something away that you've worked on?
Can you repeat?
Why would you either keep or throw something away that you have worked on during the period of time that you work on a demo?
Why would I do that?
Yes.
I actually never do that. I might throw something away from that specific demo, but everything is usable in something.
That's what I always do. I kind of hoard the things, and thus I have a lot of Kanban boards that are loads of stuff. Yes.
I think when you're doing a
I think we should actually focus on talking about demos, because the timer says we have less than 6 minutes.
And let me say that when you're doing a demo, it's about iterating. You should really do stuff. Just do something, and then you iterate it. You improve it gradually. And then it becomes better, and it might be the 5th iteration that's actually starting to be really good.
There's a technique, I think Mercury were doing it back in the day, where they would just be continuously making things, all the time, even if they didn't have a deadline, like a demo party that they were aiming for. They were just always making stuff in their engine that they have and playing around with it, and finding cool stuff that they just find by playing around. And then when it came to the time close to a party, then they would pick the best things that they've made from the past year, from this pile of cool things, and make a demo out of that.
I personally can't understand people who work like that. I definitely need a deadline for everything. If it's creative thing, I need a deadline for it, unless I never want to see it finished. If you have some random effects and stuff like that, yeah, maybe you can do those on this, without any specific project, but nobody actually does mega demos with effect after another effect and so on.
Well, we had two this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in other competitions. They weren't in
But anyway, I think that's that's the kind of production you can make if you make random stuff all the time and then just compile something from it. But if you want some coherent package which is going to be artistically uniform, it's going to need a deadline.
Right. All right. Now, we have 3 minutes and 37 seconds left. Supposedly. Hey, well, I need to do this. Unfortunately, I do not have a list of the demos, so I cannot actually run through every single one of them. So I think what we're going to do now is, there are some people on this stage who worked on some demos, so we're going to give them the opportunity to do that. Perhaps we will let Sauli speak last, because he already has mentioned that some people in one of the groups that he's involved with worked on a demo. But the two folks next to me, they worked on a demo that was shown. that got some applause. And perhaps you would like to enlighten folks as to what you went through. You already mentioned you started on the music in December and so forth.
Let's start a bit about the sort of like the overall idea. So all of this came from Micron, who is sort of our, the
slave driver.
That's right. Yeah, slave master. Let's put it that way. And his vision was that let's do effect after effect after effect demo with Apex Twin5 like soundtrack for revision because the Germans like that.
Yes.
And of course it was a successful recipe.
Yes.
And for assembly, the plan was to make a story demo. So that was the sort of instructions given to me and Vode, and we started. I really wanted to tell a story with like a real protagonist. So I don't think that has been done too many times. So we just wanted to try that, and let's see how people like that. But I just wanted to tell a story that is a bit obfuscated, a bit blurry, and doesn't give all the answers. And we promised this part 1, so hopefully the story will continue. I started, as I said, started writing the music. It was supposed to be very sort of like a cinematic music from the beginning. I took a lot of of course, inspiration from Hans Zimmer and others, and I just wanted to create a really simple melody. So it's GA is the notes that are used throughout the soundtrack, and I was so lucky to be helped with the soundtrack with Purple Motion, the true professional and my sort of childhood hero. And if someone was to say that 20, 30 years ago that you're going to be working on Project Purple, that would have been pretty amazing, and Marvel as well. Then on the visuals, so we have had talented people like Marvel working on graphics, and I'm blind to all the stuff. My effects are really yucky to begin with, and I always want them to beautify it. And of course, Vode is really good on everything he creates are beautiful from the get-go. But he was helping me a lot. And of course, I have to point on the person deeper here. Johnny helped a lot with us in terms of first of all, creating the executable out of Notch, but also with a lot of effects and beautifying as well.
I could add here that using a tool like Notes, Unreal, whatever you use, it's just a medium of expressing what you want to do. It doesn't do the demo for you. So whatever you do to use to do your demos, you have to make the demo.
And of course, just to tell quickly a story. So I really wanted to have a narrator. I wanted to be a native English speaker. I wanted to have someone like.
I think we should talk about something else now.
No. So I wrote the script for Truck, and when he sent me the first round of his recording, it literally brought tears to my eyes. This was exactly. And I wanted to save all the breadths and size and things like that he was speaking. It was exactly what I wanted. So that was a treat.
Our love the Truck.
Right.
Okay, we're going to talk about something else now because we're not. I mean, seriously, I do not want to take. Actually, I do want to mention. I really liked the demo by the new group. Grey Marchers.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I thought that was spectacular, especially for a first production. Also, if I'm not mistaken, it mentioned that was a new engine that they'd made.
Yeah, it's their own engine entirely.
Yeah. And I remember back in the day when people were saying, "Don't make your own engines," and that resulted in the people kicking stuff back up. Oh, why aren't you making your own engines? You're using commercial engines now. That's not right. Well, you said don't make your own engine, and then people didn't, and now you're complaining? What is this, the internet? So Yeah, I thought that was a spectacular thing. I liked the message in it. I also there was another one that was done, which also used their own engine, and that was the one that was a lot of fractals and had the anti-war message.
Use their own engine, like a wide load demo.
Yeah, the wide load demo was really. I thought the wide load demo was more MFX than we've seen in some of the MFX demos of late.
I have to say that in the wide load demo, it was really nice to see these 2D shapes, and then they turn to be 3D.
Yes. That transition was You remember a couple years ago when ASD did that, they had this tunnel thing, or you were moving and stuff, and then they just shifted it. And that was so brilliant. And that type of movement, and then that can, that can just really make your brain.
There was this Scrolly Party invitation. I really liked from Microsoft that you are looking from the bus to the forest.
Yes.
And then you start to see greetings. Yeah, it's amazing. Like brilliant.
And I will say that having been to that location where Scrolly Party will take place, that's an exceptionally good place to have a demo party. It's sort of becoming the demo party location. I think now Jumalauta Party has been there a few times, 68K, and now Scrolly Party. It's great. You should also. I went to Scrolly Party last year. It's a fun party. It's a little different than Assembly, but yeah, it's a good party to attend, and they will do interesting things there that you won't see. Didn't we also have an alt party invitation in there? Yeah. An alt party will be in November, I think. I think it's in November.
October,
late October, right. And then,
because we have Zoo coming in.
And then we also have Zoo, which was actually, there was something about Zoo Party which was shown in one of the demos, perhaps. I don't remember that.
I don't think so.
So yeah, there are a bunch of parties coming up this year that you can participate in, and we'd love to see that as well. Other things that you can participate in. If you're interested in learning more about coding in general and just making effects, every Monday, sadly, it's really late our time, and we should do this. Somebody in Finland should get together with the guys in England that are doing this. But Field FX, they, on every Monday, pretty much every Monday, not exactly every Monday, but I'd say 90% of the Mondays, they do a TIC 80 jam where 4 people or more just make something in an hour and a half. A DJ is playing music and you're sitting there coding. It's really good. Sally, would you like to add anything about the Jumalauta demo, or did you say everything?
Well, personally, I stand by saying it was my favorite in Combo. Making of it was quite an experience, since usually Jumala demos are done quickly, and for this one we actually made a script and almost stayed on the script, and I think it kind of proves the point that having a good script is not necessary for having kind of story demo. Like, depending on the interpretation, this can be seen as sort of Lucifer story, or maybe Prometheus.
I'm going to ask a question, because both your demo and your demo contained a story, and then we will fade away, or go and do something else for a while. But this is my question to both of you. And Sauli first. The story that you wrote, how complete did you make it? Did you overshoot? Did you write way too much and then have to scale it back? or did you know exactly how much you needed to do for this demo? The reason I ask that is I have been involved with many demos that did not come to fruition because the demo was absolutely way too long. And that is one of the things that happen with people that are making their first story demos. So for people that are thinking about doing a story demo, listen to these answers.
Well, we did cut some pieces from beginning, but in the end we had approximately that amount of content that we were aiming for. And everything wasn't as it was in original script. Like original script was basically like planet explosions followed by Earth being hit by fist, and then some notes about like what's the feeling of that scene supposed to be. And we changed multiple scenes and changed our expectations of how they're going to look. And it's like, I'd recommend working a bit on everything first and then improving each scene from there, since otherwise you're going to have like amazing 2 parts and then suddenly your demo looks like Duke Nukem Forever or something like that.
All right, so for us, when we first started, we had a really huge vision. We have a mirror storyboard with AI-generated story or pictures and stuff like that there just to sort of visualize the ideas we had. But I think it clicked at the moment when we agreed that this is part 1.
Right.
And that sort of gave us the freedom to just tell a part of the story without telling everything.
Right.
Because we knew, we knew that we are going to fill the full 8 minutes of the combo limit, and we can tell just this part of the story. So we just wanted to introduce the character. That's pretty much it. So a lot of original ideas, they are not thrown away, but they just didn't make it to the cut.
Right.
So they are on the drawer, let's put it that way.
Right.
But that is really, as I told you, I wrote about 1 hour of music to fit that bigger story.
Yep.
And it's still there, but hopefully we will reuse it. But that is a real problem in any creative process, is that how do you scope and how do you cut things away, because you really love those ideas, and then you just have to say that this is not going to make it.
I have to chill you up, it was a good demo. And there is this bug fix demo that was shown about the Earth.
Right.
Like wars bug, like freedom.
Good message.
Yeah, it's a demo that also has a story.
Yes.
And it tells it through this. What I actually liked in this bug fix demo, it had really nice flow, constantly going forward.
Yeah.
It's like no cuts in the camera, just keeps going. I like that kind of stuff. So.
And yeah, just to add up what Mustia was saying, like we actually had quite a few more parts we were like moving about with. But ultimately, I think like the music was that we're set on. It needs to be 8 minutes because that's the extent of the demo here at the assembly. So like, it doesn't matter what the parts will be. The music will be 8 minutes, and the parts will just conform to that 8 minutes.
And I think one thing I really wanted to do was to create a huge visuals with really downplayed music. That was what I really wanted, that the character you played, it's sort of like day in the office for him when everything goes to shit. So, and music should reflect that. So that's how sort of that middle part of that demo was created.
So the demo is a truck demo.
No, it's
That's right,
not.
yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. All right. So before we swerve off into the bushes and run into a tree, I think we'll.
Can we hear something from the compiler? between the spaces and times.
No,
How does it come?
Mita.
Hit it.
Oh God, I can't, hold on. Okay, if I have to do the, right. All right, if I do the compiler now, hold on, I have to get into the thing. The observables, they always something. Earlier today, I was actually able to remember the actual script, but now that it is later and I'm trying to wrap everything up, I am unable to.
So you can. I've been listening to his voice for the past 2 weeks, and I cannot describe how weird this sounds for me.
The thing is that when I'm doing a character, I actually have to enter that character. So so with that, we'll leave you for this year. There is the prize giving tomorrow, and we're glad you were with us. We hope you enjoyed all of the content that was made by all of the wonderful people that were not me. And thank you for joining us. Please make something for some of the parties coming up. Join us in the scene. We would love to have you. And those of you that made something, thank you so very much. Good night. Kiitos.